Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you to this portion of the festival. I'm truly honored to be here today. And over the last 2 days, I've met some amazing entrepreneurs in a nice informal setting, unlike Dragon's Den, which I am the new dragon, a little more formal and a little more tough. So it's been really interesting hearing all the great ideas that Quebecers and a lot of Canadians have to bring to the festival, which is great. And I have never been in a place, even in the Den, that so many people are so courageous and able to come up to me and ask me for my money with their great idea and not be pretentious about it, which is really great, because that is one of the great signs of a successful entrepreneur, that you're not scared to share your passion with somebody else and your vision. I'm going to talk about some real-life experiences today and about passion and mentorship, and some lessons that I've learned from my experiences over the last 15 years of being an entrepreneur and in being in lots of different businesses, not only the brewery and distillery businesses. I'm going to talk about how I got started, first of all, especially because I'm not from this part of the country, and some of you might not know the background. The year was 1993, and my dad was a petroleum engineer within Canada, one of the largest oil and gas firms in Canada, and in Calgary in particular. And after 15 years of service in the downturn of the oil patch, he'd gotten laid off. I was 13 years old at the time, and he'd gotten a package, and that time, Premier Ralph Klein, by chance, the same month, had privatized the retail liquor industry, which basically meant that any individual with a clear criminal record could open up a retail liquor store. It was just a matter of getting a license and having some cash in hand, which he had both of. And so he opened up 3 stores and used his math and science background. He didn't know anything about marketing or liquor, for that matter, but came to it with a methodical approach. He opened up 3 stores and very quickly became 3 of the top-selling stores in the province. And I worked there on weekends, evenings, Christmases, holidays, basically everything, every time that I wasn't in school. And I did everything from mopping to cleaning the washrooms to selling to taking out people's booze at that time. And luckily for my parents, I looked older than I was as a teenager, so they didn't get in trouble. But I was 19 years old and an engineering student, hoping to follow my dad's path and become an engineer in the oil patch in Alberta. And my younger brother and I thought of this great idea that we had had for a little while, but as I was answering phones, taking orders from bars and restaurants, I thought, why not come out with a house brand for my parents' stores? At that time, they had serviced about 60% of the retail liquor stores in the province. And so when you go to a bar anywhere in the world and you ask for a rye and Coke, let's say, and you don't specify what kind of rye you want, you get well stock. And well stock is a fancy word for basically whatever was cheapest that week at the liquor store. So some weeks it's good, some weeks it's crap. And so what I thought was, you know what they could do is they could sell a house brand, be confident in the quality of the product that they're selling, and also it be at a fair, everyday low price. So they didn't have to guess as to what they're getting this week. And so that's how we started. The idea started. And my parents, they absolutely believed in us. They mentored us in the early stages. And my dad taught me and guided me how to set goals for the company and have a vision. And most importantly, how to come up with a business plan, because I hadn't taken any business courses in school or first year of university, and how to develop a revenue model. Because it's great to have a business idea and become an entrepreneur, but you have to be able to monetize it and have a plan of how you're going to monetize it. So what I did was I decided to go to a distillers conference in Texas, where I thought I could meet some of the wholesalers that sell spirits. Unfortunately, in Canada, there isn't really such a thing. So I went to Texas, and I went by myself because my brother had still classes and I had a couple holidays. So I went and I came up with a plan of execution. I had spent a lot of the $10,000 that we had in the bank to be at this conference between flights, hotels, and registration fees. So I was determined to make something out of this. And my plan was at every break, at every lunch, at every dinner, I would switch tables. It's great when you don't know anybody. Sometimes it can be a little nerve-wracking, but it's great because you're forced in order to make relationships and talk to people you don't know. And so I went in with a pile of business cards and a story and my idea. And during the second day at lunch, I started talking to a gentleman who I told my story to, and he continued to tell me about a distillery that he owned, but he was very nonchalant about it and said that, yeah, we've sent some stuff up to Canada, and I could help you out, I think, maybe, come down to Kentucky one of these days. And I thought, okay, it's a great invite, but how much is that going to cost me? So as I was talking to him, though, I had this feeling that there's something there, and he's kind of being not totally upfront as to who he is. And I didn't know why. So when the lunch was over and the conference had started again, I ran to the payphone, because at that time there was no smartphones. I ran to a payphone and called my brother, who was back home in Calgary, and I said, go to the internet and look up this guy. This is his name, and who is he, and what does he do, what's his company? He puts me on hold. He comes back after about 3 minutes and comes back and says, oh my God, go back at the table. He owns one of the biggest and largest, most successful family-owned distilleries in the country. And I said, okay, great. What are some of the brands? Give me quick 2-minute background knowledge, because there's a lineup for the phone. So he gave me what he had on his fingertips from the internet, and I ran back, and I sat beside him, and I didn't leave his side for the next 2 days. And so every time that he would not be talking to somebody, I would be talking to him. And I decided whether he wanted to or not, he was going to be my mentor, whether he knew it or not. And, even to this day, I then after that, I said, I will come and visit you. And he said, great. And so I did. 2 weeks later, I went to Kentucky and I visited him. And I didn't get too much time with him, but he sent me to people in his company who initially got me started, helped us come up with recipes with his master distillers, come up with labels, get through the government regulations and NAFTA in order to ship the product. And I negotiated terms with him, which really helped us put our feet in the water, which were great terms. To this day, I don't know, even as a brewery and distillery owner, if I would do it for somebody, but I'm hoping I would if the opportunity came. But basically, I negotiated with him that I would get the product made from him, he would ship it to me, I would sell it, then I would pay him, because I didn't have the money to pay him beforehand. And it worked out great. 15 years later, I still work with him, but I pay him a little bit earlier. And now we have lots of things that we sell together. So, if you were to ask Max, though, his name was Max, if he was my mentor, he'd probably say no, because the great thing about a mentor and a mentee relationship is that the mentor doesn't believe or know that that's what they're doing, is because they are gaining something out of the relationship too. It's not just a one-way street. It's a give and take relationship. And at this point in my career, I like to do that too. I love mentoring. However, it does take a lot of time for the mentors. For the mentee, I understand that they get a lot out of it, and it's about connections and relationships and getting opinions, but there does have to be a give and take relationship. So I always like to tell people, make sure that when you are looking for a mentor, either for your personal life or for your career and business life, make sure it's something that you can give and take, and something that you can add to that person's relationship too. You might not know it off the bat what you have to give, but everybody does have something to give. Mentorship, I believe, is really important, not only for your career or to become an entrepreneur, but I do believe that it's about life. And we win and lose as a team, and it's very important for us to be involved in others' lives. And you don't have to be super successful or at the peak of your career in order to be a mentor. And it's something that all of us have with us. It's about being supportive, and it's about being another third step for somebody to look from the outside in. I'm also going to talk about passion. My time is running out pretty fast here. So let me skip over here, sorry. Finding a passion. Find something that you're passionate about and something that you have knowledge about, and stick to that. I really think that it's hard for us to be a Jack or Jill of all trades, because it's hard enough to do one thing right, never mind multiple things at the same time. And we all have so many things to do as individuals, especially if we're husbands, wives, mothers, husbands, kids, it doesn't really matter what. We have so many things to do in 24 hours. And to focus on your career and to be an entrepreneur takes a lot of time. It's not just an 8 to 4 thing. So you have to make sure that you really love what you do, and for it to contribute to a successful, fulfilling life. Finding your passion, naming it, and identifying it is really important. And it's a great place to start. It can change over time, but you do have to name it. And it's important also to stay true to that goal and vision that you started with, in spite of distractions, because along the way, there'll be lots of distractions. And there'll be lots of ideas that you come up with that are either vertically integrated to what your idea or passion is, and or something else that might be trendy at the time. But if it's not what you're truly passionate about and truly find inspiring, it won't work out for the long run. Very rarely are you able to do multiple things at one time and them all be successful. And the gauge of success is different for everybody. It's not just money, it's whether or not you yourself are happy and you also contribute to others' lives and have touched others' lives and made them happy. Choose a job you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. My parents told me this when I was young, over and over again. And as a kid, I thought that they were crazy. But this Confucius saying, I totally believe in now. Because life is too short for us to spend 70% of our waking hours doing something that we hate or something that we don't want to get up to go to do. And also, if you don't like what you do, and also if it seems like work, your intuition and everything that makes a person or a company successful just doesn't happen. Very few people do I know who have reached success in their industry or personally can tell you that they don't like what they do, because it's all encompassing. You end up eating, sleeping, and breathing it to come up with new ideas, to meeting new people, and to creating either your culture in your company and creating a great team, because none of us do it by ourselves. A great team is what helps you persuade people and portray your vision in order to get to that goal that you've set. I often go to bed dreaming about my newest challenge and what challenges I have and what goals I want to reach. I'm a big goal setter. I think that it's very important personally and for the company for everybody to know where we're going. Not to say that we reach our goals all the time, but it's nice to have a path and to know where you want to go rather than meandering along a wide open path. And I guess, well, I'm lucky. I've been successful, but I'm grateful for those, all those people that helped me get to where I've been, and over the last 15 years, come along the road with me. And I guess who wouldn't love tasting beers and calling it work? Greatness does exist in all of us, and it's not an elusive, esoteric thing that only the special few among us will experience. I truly believe greatness is amongst all of us, and it's just a matter of us to find it and to bring it out. 4 lessons I'd like to emphasize today. 1, find a mentor or mentors. 2, have the courage to succeed. Don't give up. I could go on and on for a good couple hours here about all the failures that we've come across in the last 15 years, but thank goodness our successes have outweighed our failures, and we've had the courage to succeed, even despite distractions and the naysayers. And this has been a hard lesson, but it's true. Life is not always fair. Hence, you can't get our product in Quebec yet. I won't go into that, just in case there's somebody here that works for the government. And lastly, find a passion. It's very important, I find, life is short, and in order to find that, I promise you, you will be successful if you're able to find something you're truly passionate about. Thank you.